The vital role of the intellect. The very basic function of the intellect is to make the right assessment. In order to make the right assessment, you should know what it is made up of objectively. Objectively, if you see it, you can make the right assessment. But you don't see it objectively. You see it under the influence of emotion. Emotion na enna artham? Emotion we keep justifying it. Emotion means what? Like எனக்கு பிடிச்சிருக்குது சார், அவ்வளவுதான். Emotion means like. I like it. Now what? Or I dislike it. Now what? Both doesn't make you to assess rightly. Now, what is right? How do you assess rightly? If you have to assess rightly, you need to know what it is made up of. Correct? Assessment means seeing it as it is. That's called assessment. That's called knowledge. Are you able to follow? Assessment means seeing it as it is. அது இருக்கிற மாதிரி பார்க்கிறோம், அவ்வளவுதான். Yeah. Oh no, sir, you should not see it like that. You should be positive in life. You should not see it like this. You should have a positive outlook to life. You should have a positive approach to life. In that positive outlook and in that positive approach to life, you will operate on your likes and dislikes. In relation to other species, we will see it as it is and not have a problem. When it comes to human beings alone, we will have a problem. Will you ever go to a forest and hug the lion and come back saying, wrong, bad lion, sir? Will you come back saying that? You go to the forest, you will hug the lion, and what the lion will do? That also hugs you. Your way of hugging is different. The lion's way of hugging is different. That's all. Both hugging. Now, when you come back, will you say, bad lion? Will you say that? If somebody says bad lion, what will you tell that person? What will you tell that person? Anybody? What will you tell that person? Correct. You are a mad fellow. You are a mad fellow. You go there, you hug the lion. What do you? Correct, no? Intellect functions very well in relation to all other species. Where intellect should function is in relation to our own species. In relation to our own species, only the intellect doesn't function. Assessment. You rightly assess. Out of assessment, you come to a conclusion. Assessment will lead to a conclusion. Assessment will lead to a conclusion. Based on that conclusion, you choose or you don't choose. But emotion makes you to choose first. Why? Because I like all of them. The entire world is making you பார்த்த உடனே பிடிக்கணும். The entire world is making an attempt to deceive. So human beings make all the attempts to deceive whom? Have you ever understood this? All the human beings' effort is attempted at deceiving our own species. That's why it's called makeup, isn't it? You cover it up. You cover it up and make it look. You look it You look at it, what should happen? Thinking should not happen. Intellect should not function at all. All human effort is to ensure that intellect doesn't function at all. Therefore, what happens? You cannot see as it is. What is seeing it as it is means? It's a whole lot of knowledge. The gunas, the three gunas, their own package, their own likes and dislikes, their own nature, all put together, you should be able to assess. And then see, this is what it is. I'm okay. Right assessment example, Mandodari. Right assessment example, Mandodari. She never had a problem with Ravana. Mandodari didn't have a problem with Ravana. Sita didn't have a problem with Rama. We have a problem with Namakadam problem, isn't it? Sita didn't have a problem with Mandodari didn't have a problem with Namakadam problem. Why? Because we have no, out of assessment comes the conclusion. That conclusion is called acceptance. You follow? You assess and then come to the conclusion, and that conclusion is what is known as acceptance. This is the vital role of the intellect. Opposite of assessment is judgment. Judgment means conclusions influenced by your likes and dislikes. It's very obvious. Judgment means conclusions influenced by your likes and dislikes. I like it, therefore it is good. The Deva will look like an Asura, isn't it? The Deva, the God will look like an Asura. Correct. You follow why? That is judgment. At one point of time, you said he is God because like. At another point in time, that God has become a Rakshasa, devil, because you. So this conclusion, which is based on likes and dislikes, is called judgment. On what basis? Why you conclude based on your likes and dislikes? Instant emotions. It cannot have the penetrating vision. You follow? Are you okay till now? Another important area, another important function of the intellect is the capacity to see the cause and effect. If cause and effect were to happen instantly, no problem at all. Again, I repeat, another important function of the intellect is the ability to correlate cause and effect rightly. Most of the time, that we cannot do it because the time between cause and effect is so large that you have to imagine your own causes. If cause and effect were to happen instantly, what is instant cause and effect? Example of instant cause and effect? Ganesh, correct. Nerupla kai vecha, if you put your finger in the fire, effect is immediate. You understand? Supposing you put your finger in the fire today, it will burn you 10 years later. Now, how can you even correlate the both? How can you even connect the both? You follow? The second important aspect of intellect is the ability to understand the cause and effect. This ability is called understanding life, understanding karma, understanding law of karma. If you don't understand it, if you don't have this penetrating vision, you will be very superficial. A person who doesn't understand cause and effect becomes very, very superficial. You follow? When you see somebody suffering, so superficially you get excited by that suffering. So superficially, you get excited by that suffering and you immediately want to do something. Intellect says what? What does intellect say? What does intellect say? That person is suffering because of their own making. That doesn't mean I cannot do anything to help the other. That is intellect. Are you able to follow? Again, otherwise, even our help is so superficial. Weak pity. Pity nale weak da. Weak pity, isn't it? Pity itself is so. You see somebody suffering, you get so superficially carried away by that suffering, and you believe what? You don't understand the cause and effect. Where you don't understand the cause and effect rightly, you will start blaming external factors for the suffering of the other. When you don't understand the law of karma, you will start blaming external factors as the reason for their suffering. And then you want to do something. What is intellect? Law of understanding of law of karma. If somebody is suffering, it is their own making. How cruel it is, how harsh it is. How harsh it is. How heartless to say all this. Intellect says, understand karma and help. Understand that it's their own making and see if you can do something to help. But you don't, emotions overtake and you start pitying. And pity always, pity nale, big pity. Are you able to follow? These are all the vital role of intellect on a practical sense. Assessment. Intellect, vital role of the intellect comes in the area of assessment. Vital role of the intellect comes in the area of cause and effect. You understand these two, more or less you are saved in life. You understand these two, more or less you are saved in life. You have a stability. That mental stability is required for deeper penetration into questions of life. That is God. Without this mental stability, you can never inquire about God. You can never be interested in God. Or without this mental stability, any inquiry about God will be very superficial, useless. That is where the vital role of the intellect comes in to bring in a mental stability. That mental stability becomes a prerequisite to inquire into the nature of truth, God. You follow? But human beings have misunderstood. You go to God, all your problems will get sorted. Intellect sorts out your problem, then only you can go to God. Sequence Purita, Ravi. God will not sort out your problems. You sort your problems out with your intellect. Then you go to God. God. Then why God? Then why even go to God? It means God you see as a problem solver, isn't it? You will create problems and God will solve it. My job is to create problems, sir. God's job is to keep solving the problems. Right assessment we have, isn't it? I am the problem creator and God is the problem solver. This is the vital role of the intellect. Very important is to know where it comes into play when it comes to assessment and it comes into play about cause and effect. The third vital role of the intellect is this. Intellect alone can tell you what you see is not what it is. If what you see is what it is, you don't need an intellect. Because you already know it, no? What you see is not what it is. One may smile and smile and smile and yet be a villain. Shakespeare says, the person may be smiling and smiling and smiling, and you get so carried away by the smile, and you go and hug the person, and the person is the one who's going to stab you, isn't it? You think this person is going to save your life, that person stabs you on the back. You think that person is going to stab you on the back, that person is ready to save your life. You really don't know how to understand things. Are you able to follow? You think somebody is going to be the savior of your life. That person turns out to be the destroyer of your life. Somebody you think is the destroyer of your life turns out to be the savior of your life. Correct? Correct. Huh? Example, all parents appear as fill in the blanks. As what? Villains to? Yeah. Their children. Not everybody. Not everybody. Their own child. Others' child. Wow. Others' children are wonderful relationship, isn't it? Their own children. You follow? The benefactor looks like a malefactor. The malefactor looks like the benefactor. It means you don't know how to see what it is. What you see is not what it is. Remember this love. What you see is not. So the vital role of intellect, the three areas. The first area, what? Assessment. Second one is cause and effect. Third one is what you see is not what it is.